Views, opinions, and content of the show are those of the host, guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect those of Local Matters Broadcasting, LLC, its owners, partners, affiliates, assigns, or heirs. Having said that, it's now time to say good morning, St. Johns County. Welcome to the weekly radio show of the St. Johns County Council on Aging, better known in our community as the COA. We are your local nonprofit agency who for the past 51 years has been leading and advocating for the dignity and independence of seniors and responding to their changing needs. I'm Brian Robinson, Program Director for COA, broadcasting to you live from the studio of WFOY 102.1 FM, your local radio station for news, sports, and talk. Before we get into our show, let me remind everyone, if you have a question, a comment, or a suggestion for a radio show topic, or if you just want to compliment me on my ability to walk, chew gum, and hum a Springsteen song all at the same time, you can send that email to radio@coasjc.org. Again, that's radio@coasjc.org.
I want to see that.
Or if you have a question for our guest this morning during the show, you can send that while we're on the air. And I do have my email up, and I'll be checking it, and we'll try to work your question in. And if you are familiar with that laugh, that is the laugh of Megan Wall, managing attorney at St. John's Legal Aid. Good morning, Megan.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here this day before the 4th of July. Most people are already taking their vacation for a nice, long, extended weekend, but me and you have not done that. We are sitting here in the studio because we want to educate our listeners on topics that pertain to them. And again, this is the Council on Aging show, so we are gearing our show each and every week towards seniors. And so I'm sure that you have something to talk about that pertains to them. So what are we talking about today?
I think we should talk about legal aid really specializes in poverty issues, debt issues, people that don't have enough income for all of the things that they have to pay for. And that's a really common thing for seniors because they're on fixed incomes and their retirement checks or their Social Security checks don't really go up as everything else in the world goes up, and then they find themselves squeezed or they become widowed or it's like they lose their spouse, or it's really tough on seniors to really make ends meet. I've had a lot of them say they wish they hadn't retired as soon or they wish they could go back to work, but they don't really know computers. I mean, it is very difficult once you're already whatever age, 80, to try to get back into the job market and find what you can do. And so I really talk to seniors a lot about debt issues. And that's an issue that a lot of people don't want to talk about, especially in that generation. They say, I've always paid my bills, and I to be a debtor is a character flaw, and it's a horrible thing, and I don't even want to say it to anyone. I don't want to mention it. And I always want to talk to them about the decisions you have to make if you find yourself in that situation. So that's a lot of what we do at Legal Aid. I mean, of course, foreclosure defense, debt defense, eviction defense, like trying to keep people stable in whatever's going on in their life. Things come up and the safety nets are really not there. And it's really just on you, right? There's even a caregiver documentary I'm watching right now that was sent out. Bradley Cooper did it about his own dad.
I've heard about it.
Yeah, and the elder source sent it to me and said, you got to watch this and let us know if you have comments or thoughts. And I'm just about halfway through, and it's astounding that if someone in your life, a child, a spouse, a parent, it's up to you to be the caregiver, and there's very little out there that will really catch you when you fall. Mm-hmm. And so, it's an interesting thing that's unique to this country, really, more than other countries. And so it's something that you guys deal with a lot at the COA, but the first thing that usually happens is that people are trying to pay for things they can't, and the loss of that income or the loss of that or the increased medical costs, or, and a lot more people are about to not have coverage. I mean, there's a lot of things that come up where you just don't have any more money and your debts are more than you have.
Correct. And then there's the increase in housing, right? Whether you're renting, your rent may go up from year to year, or, you may have a home, but then your insurance rates keep going up as well. And so I'm hearing more and more about seniors who are homeless and living in their vehicles here in St. Johns County.
I know. And students I work with the Unaccompanied Youth McKinney-Vento group, and they do a count every year. There are about 700 or 800 students in our school system that are homeless, couch surfing, living in their cars, living in the woods, with and without their parents. Often without their parents, but sometimes with. So it is a real issue, and I think it's a hidden issue. And I think that it's good that legal aid's there because we're the people you can talk to confidentially. We're not going to tell the world. God forbid you're in debt. It's okay to talk to a professional and say, what should I do? What should I pay and what should I not pay? The reason why this is important, Brian, is because if you make the wrong decision early on, it can be even more devastating. You've got to get the information and make good choices. They're Hobson's choices. It's, a rock and a hard place. But at least if you choose like shelter over a credit card, that's a really good thing to do. Mm-hmm. Because I find people like gutting the creditors will tell them this on the phone. They're really diabolical. One, don't pick up the phone. Don't ever talk to a creditor. They will lie. It's awful. And you have to see them in Delaware where they house themselves. It's a really diabolical thing, but they will lie. So I've had seniors call me because their pacemakers have gone out and they're in the hospital. And the person on the phone said, yeah, your deceased husband, he left a big medical bill. And if you don't pay it, we're going to throw you in jail. If you don't pay it, we're going to take your home. If you don't pay it, they even told her they're going to take the wedding ring off of her finger. This woman was like 87, just lost her husband. And they're calling her and telling her this, and her pacemaker is going out. All of those are incredible lies. And yes, I would be able to sue them. It's illegal to do that kind of debt collection. But the law now says it's where the company houses itself. And so Delaware deregulated. You can charge any interest rate for credit cards, and they do all collections from there, and you have to sue them in Delaware. I'm only licensed in Florida. Mm-hmm. So, this kind of biological, it's just awful, diabolical. And so I hear these stories every single day, and then I go to the COA and thank you for the platform and tell people, come and learn about what to do if you're in debt. Come and learn about, and really all seniors on a fixed income, like you said, unless they have some charmed existence, if they're just regular folks that just did regular jobs, if they're not really wealthy, these things are the costs are outrageous. Right, their mortgages, their insurance, the cost of food, the cost of everything, medicine, it's just gone up exponentially, and their incomes have not. Mm-hmm. So, what should you do? One, definitely go to a lecture, right? And they're at the COA every month, and all the COAs actually. People maybe don't know that your Council on Aging has 5, at least that I go to. 5 locations.
We have a total of 6, yes, but I think you make it out to 5. Yeah.
I don't. Where's the 6th one? I know I got to do that too.
Well, so we have 2 here in St. Augustine, so right across the street from each other. Oh, I see what you mean. Yes. Right? So River House and then Coastal Community Center right across the street, and then of course we have Hastings, we have Trout Creek, and then we have Nocatee and Ponte Vedra.
Okay, so I do go to all of them. Okay, you're right. I think of the 2 across the street as the same, but you're right. I call it the Marine Street COA. Yeah. Well, it's good. So every month there's free informational legal advice and lectures. And then every Friday I meet with seniors by appointment at the COAs. And if people can't get to the main Marine Street, I do meet them by special appointment. Shh. Why am I saying that out loud? They find me a room, and I try to go before or after a lecture, and not everyone. But you do have good transportation to the main COA, which is great. And then I expose everyone to all of the resources you guys have there. Mm-hmm. So seniors, I just want to be part of that one-stop shop because you guys have the Meals on Wheels, the prescription assistance, you just have absolutely everything, and fun and socialization. And not to cut out how important emotional health is. And, it's just so important to know that's your resource. Right. To go there and to get help.
And likewise, we appreciate the partnership that we have with you. And it's nice when some folks come in and they start asking, legal questions. I'm like, let me point you towards legal aid. Hold on 1 minute. Let me get you that phone number. So it's nice to be able to do that. All right, we're going to go ahead and take our first break. We'll continue this conversation right after these commercial messages. You're listening to the weekly radio show of the St. Johns County Council on Aging. And you know, when you hear the Ramones, you're listening to the weekly radio show of the St. Johns County Council on Aging here on WFOY 102.1 FM. Your local radio station for news, sports, and talk. I'm Brian Robinson, Program Director for COA, joined in the studio this morning by Megan Wall, Managing Attorney at St. John's Legal Aid. And let's continue on our conversation. You're talking about the topic of poverty.
Yeah, that's always fun. But on the commercial break, I told you to go see a movie. So that might be more fun. Go see The Life of Chuck. It is a Stephen King non-horror movie.
Which is rare.
Like Shawshank Redemption, which is his other one that I can think of. Another great movie. Anyway, The Life of Chuck is just interesting and fun and insightful. And my husband, who doesn't really go to movies, loved it and wanted to see it again. So, you know, if you're doing anything this weekend, maybe see an insightful but interesting and entertaining movie. And I recommend The Life of Chuck. I wish they were giving me kickbacks for this. I should work. I should call them up. Hey, I was, promoting your. It's just good to know which movies to go to because often they're not worth it and they're expensive. Speaking of debts, speaking of how expensive are movies, right? Mm-hmm. And my husband goes, "You're not getting popcorn, are you?" I'm like, "Oh, honey, please." No, we're on a budget. Anyway. The really important thing is, yes, to have some joy, too, and to find joyful things and to find which movies are worth it at the theater as opposed to wait for them to come onto your, home television or something. But Life of Chuck is definitely worth it if it's still playing. But anyway, one of the things that I think is important to know, Brian, is that if you have, less money than you have bills, the important thing is to prioritize what bills you absolutely should pay, which ones are mandatory. And those are non-negotiable, and those are paid first, and then the rest will sort themselves out. I know that sounds odd, but I'll explain. So you make a list, I tell people, you put your shelter. You will be homeless if you don't pay your shelter, and there's not a lot of safety net out there. So shelter costs, electric, water, and there's even some electric and water assistance sometimes, right? Even the COA runs that?
We do not, but it is out there, yes.
From the Social Services Department then now can sign up for that LEHEAP, EHEAP.
Yeah, it's through the county.
Through the county, okay. Mm-hmm. Well, it's important to know what resources are there, too, to help out. And utility, there is some assistance. There's not assistance with rent or mortgage that I know of, or property taxes. But claim all your exemptions, right? I mean, Eddie Kramer, these people are great in our county. Mm-hmm. And you've got to go in and claim, yes, I'm a widow, and I'm a veteran, and I'm, a senior. And there's lots of exemptions. And they'll fix it sometimes if it's wrong. So, go get as small shelter cost as you can, right? Pay your utilities. Pay your medications and even food assistance. Sometimes there's help with that. Sometimes there's food stamps. Sometimes there's the pie in the sky. There's farm to table. There's food banks. There's, different kinds of ways that you can sort of stretch that food dollar too. Meals on Wheels, right? Things that you need to really look at what's there.
Well, and then also our senior centers, we have 6. 3 of them are congregate meal sites. And so if you can get transportation to the center, which of course we do provide transportation to that, that's an extra meal that you're not having to prepare or pay for, right? Because it's at no cost to the senior. So
and
if you're 60 or older, you're welcome to come out. We have a congregate meal site at 180 Marine Street. It's called Coastal Community Center. Then Hastings, and then Trout Creek. Those 3 are congregate meal sites where you will not have to pay for the meal if you come.
What about at Players? They serve meals.
They do. It's kind of a hybrid model.
I see.
So those who come there have to pay $5 for their meal. So we get funding that covers kind of half of that. Right?
That's still great.
So it costs us $10. So they pay $5, and then we have funding that covers the other $5.
That would really save, though. I mean, to have a whole big,
sure.
Round meal. Those are big. I mean, I see them spaghetti and garlic bread and home cooked meals, chicken and rice. Like, yep. I'm always looking over for $5. I mean, that would be a great. It's the only meal you'd have to eat in the
Right.
day. It's a big
And it's prepared in our kitchen at 180 Marine Street.
home
so
cooked.
it's not, these aren't frozen meals that we purchase somewhere and then heat up and give to the seniors. This is made every Monday through Friday in our
fresh.
in our kitchen. So
They're fresh, they're delicious, they're home cooked. So I mean, there's things you could do about that, the food budget, but definitely like, the rent, the electric, utilities, get help, food, and then medicine. You can't really skimp on your medicine and stay healthy. Talk to your pharmacist, try to get generics, try to do, sometimes there's prescription assistance plans. And then even again, if it's a really big expense of a really incredible prescription that you need, often a life-saving one, those things go sky high. Do talk to the COA again. You have Tina Brofield there.
Tina Brofield does an amazing job navigating the system because the companies that make the pharmaceutical companies that make the prescription drugs, they set aside a certain amount of money to help low-income individuals. But there's a lot of hoops that you got to jump through, and Tina knows how to jump through those hoops and then navigate the system. But last year, I believe it was a little over 300 seniors, and she saved them over $3.1 million. So, it's just phenomenal, the work that she is able to do.
It's phenomenal to work with the COA and all of their programs and all of the stuff that they'll do to kind of make ends meet. You need that shower chair for your husband that just had a stroke. Maybe ask the COA. Mm-hmm. I'm in there seeing people, and I see these donated shower chairs and wheelchairs, and always go and try to find, volunteer donated, just like I always do with my furniture in every house I've ever had. I'd just go to the Goodwill or to the, thrift shops. You really can find a way, but you have to know what resources to go to, and you've got to do your homework a little bit. But it's worth doing, as you're aging, or as you're going into a different financial bracket or someone's getting sick. It's really good to start reaching out to those resources and find out what can and cannot be helped with and what is on you.
And don't be embarrassed to ask for help.
Absolutely not.
Don't be embarrassed. Well, that's why we are there. We are there. We exist. COA exists to help seniors in St. Johns County live as vibrant a life as possible. And so do not be embarrassed to contact us to see if we can help you in some way.
That's right. And what's wrong? What's embarrassing about being thrifty, frugal, and smart, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Think of it in another way. It's like, well, I'm just stretching my dollars because I'm a smart shopper, right? Don't look at it as any kind of other thing. So the other thing that is left over after you really do your essentials is often, well, of course, car. If you want a car, sometimes there's a payment or insurance or whatever. Sometimes people don't drive anyway. Who knows if that's an expense. But then what's in this other category that people worry about more, where all of the callers are calling from usually, are these unsecured debts, right? That would be medical bills they couldn't pay. And by the way, there are programs for that. Ask the hospital billing department if there's a write-off program, if there's a charitable program, if they maybe qualify for a different coverage that they haven't applied for yet. So the billing department has those kind of things. Plus they're unsecured, right? Credit card debt, whatever other debts. Those are unsecured debts, which mean they cannot touch you, your home, your Social Security, your income even, if you're making a small amount.
All right, hold that thought. That music means it's time for our next commercial. We'll be right back after these messages. And welcome back to the weekly radio show of the St. Johns County Council on Aging here on WFOI 102.1 FM, your local radio station for news, sports, and talk. I'm Brian Robinson, Program Director for COA, joined in the studio this morning by Megan Wall, Managing Attorney at St. John's Legal Aid. And next week, we'll have in the studio Paige Stanton with UF Health St. John's Care Connect. So tune in next week for that conversation. But this morning, we're talking with Megan Wall, and we're going to continue on our conversation. Before the commercial break, you were talking about, prioritizing what you have to pay. And so shelter is, of course, first and foremost. And then you were talking about some of the other different things as far as prioritizing those. So
yeah,
continue on.
Okay. And also we were talking in the break about all the other great things the COA does, right? You guys have, tax help at tax time, often flu shots, the Shine program that comes in and helps people with their Medicare choice.
Correct.
And their Part D prescription plan choice, which can save you a lot of money if you're in the right plan. You know, tax help. I mean, there's all this. I always say just reach out to the COA. I mean, I even call you guys. Do you guys do this? Do you guys do that? Do you help with this? Do you do in-home help? Do you do respite? Do you do memory care? Paulette's like, why, yes, we do. I've sat down with her before. My friend's got a husband that's had a stroke. He drop him off, and she can go do the groceries. And you know, there's memory classes, and there's just every time I look, there's more that you guys do, and more people, and more. You know, it's such a great resource, and I love partnering with you guys on Fridays.
And we're very excited. We're going to be starting a new location for our Integrative Memory Enhancement Program. We received a grant from the Community Foundation for Northeast Florida that is going to allow us to have this class to serve those in the West Augustine area. So we're partnering with Dawson Chapel, which is on Orange Street, I believe is the name of the street that they're on. And so they're going to provide us space, and it's going to be for low-income individuals in the West Augustine area. And so we're right now getting people signed up for that. So we're very excited about that, again, being able to continue to serve St. Johns County with our memory service.
That is great. I didn't even know about that. See, every time I ask you, there's another great thing happening. Yeah, West Augustine, Flagler Estates, Hastings. These are my people, right? These are a lot of the people I try to go serve. You know, we always try to serve the lowest income people first and work our way up, but even high income people. And so I do go to Players in Nocatee. You'd be surprised, you know, how people up there also have a lot of issues, or they were up there before it became a super expensive kind of place to live, and they're still struggling, you know, in the existing home that they're in or whatever. So I do try to go everywhere. Don't discriminate. 60 and over, we'll talk to anybody, and we will give anybody advice and assistance and brief service. You know, their advanced directives, stuff like that. We'll help out because people need to know where they can go to trust somebody who's not charging, not going to put their name in their documents, not going to do anything that's unethical or immoral, and they can trust us because we're also not selling anything. Right? We're the only nonprofit lawyers out there. So we're not, you know, if you tell us, do I need a living trust? I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you, no holds barred, I'll tell you what it is. Reverse mortgage, I'll tell you what it is. You know, and I'm not selling it. And I think it's important to get information from people that aren't selling the product, right? Even wills and trusts and stuff, lawyers are selling those products. Okay, good. But you know, they're not going to tell you don't need it. You might not need it. And it might be not something that's affordable to you. So I think it's really important. Okay, so basic debts. And by the way, your mortgage, if it's really sky high, you can often refinance your mortgage. And I don't think that people know that. And so we have a whole HUD certified counselors at Legal Aid that try to, you know, recertify, refinance mortgages and make them more affordable for people, extend the years that you owe or whatever. But seniors need to look into that too if they're really finding themselves with huge overhead. So the other thing is that a lot of people don't, even though they're judgment proof, and I guess I could get into what that means. It means these unsecured creditors can't take anything from the person because they don't have anything that under law is allowed to be taken. You can't take someone's home. You can't throw them in jail. You can't take their wedding ring off their finger. You can't come into the house and take their property. You can't, you know, even repossess their car most of the time. You cannot take stuff, and you can't touch their income or their Social Security or their retirement funds. So a lot of times, though, people say, I just don't like that I have this unsecured debt. I just want to find a way to either discharge it or consolidate it or whatever. So one of the things that some of my own friends and family do, along with my clients, is they call the nonprofit organization CCCS, Consumer Credit Counseling Services. It is the only legitimate debt consolidation program. And the one that my friends and family have gone to is in Rochester, New York, but it serves... It's all remote anyway. It serves Florida. So, and I happen to have that number, 585-546-3440. nonprofit debt consolidation means it's real and it's not a scam. And the rest are all scams. It is diabolical again and horrible that my clients come in and they tell me they paid $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 towards these debt consolidation programs. None of it has gone to their debt, and they still have all that debt. Just absolutely in the fine print, allowed under law, but it is a complete scam and a waste of money. CCCS, a nonprofit, it was set up years ago by the credit card companies to try to get people not to just discharge in a bankruptcy. And almost all the people that qualify for it could discharge in a bankruptcy because they're collection proof. But what they do is they get rid of all the interest rates, they get rid of and they try to see if one low payment could pay it off over 3 to 5 years. And it's a direct withdrawal. So a lot of people just feel better about doing that. And a lot of people our age feel a lot better about doing that because maybe we aren't as judgment proof as seniors, even if we're the head of a household, which is also collection proof. But still, just getting that kind of stuff handled. And remember, credit cards aren't like what our parents had, right? There's no limit on interest rates. We see people 29%, 59%. Lady came in the other day, 104%. Wow. There is absolutely no upper limit on what the interest rate could be. Not to mention the yearly charges and the compound. It's just, money makes money, debt makes debt, right? So it depends on which side of the Grand Canyon you're on, and then that's the way you're going. It's not.
And it's very difficult to get out of that. I mean, speaking from personal experience, earlier in my career, I was in ministry, which didn't pay me very, very much money. So I actually worked a second job to try to make ends meet for our family. But big things would come up, right? Like something on the car needed fixed, or an appliance broke down, or something. And so you put it on a credit card, and then before you know it, you got a lot of credit card debt that comes up, and then you're trying to make the payment on it, and you make the minimum payment, but then it just
drowning.
It just keeps rolling and rolling and getting bigger and bigger. But
the minimum payment won't even pay the debt, and you're still going over the limit. And every time you go over the limit, it's $30, and it's just it's endless.
All right, that music means we've got to go to our next commercial break. We'll be right back after these messages. And welcome back to the weekly radio show of the St. Johns County Council on Aging, here on WFOY 102.1 FM, your local radio station for news, sports, and talk. I'm Brian Robinson, Program Director for COA, joined this morning by Megan Wall, Managing Attorney at St. John's Legal Aid. And prior to the commercial, we were talking about credit card debts.
Any unsecured debt. Could be hospital bills, could be borrowed money from your brother and you didn't pay him back and he sued you. Remember, O.J. Simpson owed the Goldman family a civil judgment of $18 million, but his Beverly Hills mansion materialized into cash and landed in Florida. Homestead state. I always tell people, bad use of a good law. If the Goldmans couldn't take O.J.'s multi-million-dollar mansion in West Palm Beach, they can't take your trailer, right? I mean, they cannot. And, it's really good. I don't know if you can put it in any kind of chat, but some of these really good numbers to have before I leave. The Senior Legal Helpline is a legal aid that's a nonprofit that just stands by on the phone, lawyers standing by ready to take seniors' calls anywhere in the state. 888-895-7873. Florida Senior Legal Helpline, a legal aid nonprofit. A lot of other places have the same name, not nonprofits. Be careful which one you call. Also, the Florida Bar runs a florida.freelegalanswers.org. Any of us can email a question in, and a Florida Bar lawyer will email an answer back on any legal topic. The Florida Bar also runs the Florida Bar Lawyer Referral Service, which if you're low income, you could speak to a lawyer for free for a half hour on any legal topic. And if you're not super low income, if you're like us, we have a job, it's $25. Also really important. 800-342-8011. So it's really important, and of course the CCCS number, 585-546-3440. It's really important to know there's a lot of legal information out there. Legal aid is one of them. We're the on-the-ground people. I mean, try to get your quick questions answered through these other sources because we're not really a call-a law as much. At my lectures, of course, question and answer always. But to just go, I have a quick question, go to the Florida Free Legal Answers, go to the Florida Bar Lawyer Referral Service, go to the Florida Senior Legal Helpline. They're right there with your quick question. We're more on the ground, right? We want to meet with people, do documents, do directives, go to court, try to save your home in a foreclosure, try to go to your eviction hearing. And we're in there every single Monday with a team of pro bono lawyers trying to work out deals for people being evicted, and try to prevent that eviction from getting on your record. Once an eviction's on your record, credit's tanked, you can't rent a new place, you can never get public housing. It is devastating to have an eviction on your record. So we played Let's Make a Deal, right? We'll dismiss the eviction and they'll give you some money and they'll clean it up really well and they'll get out by Friday. Like, again, everyone's got some stake in the game. Let's work a deal. And Judge Woolsey set that up, which is, I could not thank her enough. It's really working well. But it's important to know what your issues are, to get that information quickly before you make a bad choice. And it's important not to get sad. Is that okay to mention? I mean, if you get sad, you just shut down, right? And maybe even, use alcohol or something to soothe. It's just going to make it worse and worse. So instead, go to the COA, have a home-cooked meal, play a game, a memory game with your friends. They have dances. They have birthday parties. Every time I walk through, I think, I don't want to be doing this. I want to go in that room and play games and have fun. And you guys do so much fun stuff that makes people feel joyful and laughing and dancing. And I mean, it's so people come in and entertain and sing and play music, and it's really just a joyful place to be. And I think that helps you not just connect to resources, but also allow yourself to be happy enough to think about these tough things, right? Think about debts and the prescriptions you need and how much money you don't. Nothing's more depressing than knowing you don't have enough money. Right.
And the other thing that it does is it allows you to be around people who are likely going through something similar.
Right. And share.
Yeah.
Caregiver groups, right? Other people are also doing that. And how to pre-plan your documents and how to pre-plan before someone with dementia doesn't have capacity anymore. Do this stuff in advance. But the more you connect with the community, the more you go out instead of in, instead of isolate, instead of get sad, instead of use substances, instead of be depressed, that's like the wrong direction to really fix the problem. Right? I always tell my husband, I'm too tired to go exercise. He goes, that's not going to help. It's by exercising you get less tired. It's the opposite world, right? It's ironic. But I'm really glad that you guys do the COA. I'm glad that you have legal aid in there. I'm glad you have all the resources of the community coming in there. And the farm to table, you guys, I mean, there's just everything that's about seniors is done through that one-stop shop. And Elder Source, too, is a good resource. Do you think? I mean, you guys probably refer people there who want to start.
Right, yeah. So, some of our services that we do provide, that is the first place that people have to start with, right? So that we tell them to contact Elder Source. Elder Source will do an over-the-phone assessment of their situation and then kind of determine what services they qualify for, and then they'll get put onto a wait list for the services. Unfortunately, because the services won't cost the people anything, we have lots of people on that wait list, right? So it's months, sometimes years before somebody can come off of that wait list to get those services. But, that's why it's good to call now, like call Elder Source now and get on the list.
And you get a number from the assessment. And as your condition worsens, Correct. Your number can go up.
Yeah. So basically they rank you as a 1 to 5, 5 being like you're in desperate need of help. And again, as you said, if your situation changes, then you call them and you tell them, and then that, maybe you were ranked a 3, and then your situation, now you're ranked a 5. And so that means you're going to get off the wait list a lot sooner than you would have. So, yes.
Yeah, Elder Source is great. And the COA is great. And St. John's Legal Aid, if people need us, and it's not just this quick question kind of thing, if you really need us to do something, of course we're, right in Google, but it's 904-827-9921. You leave a message, someone calls you right back. And if you don't want to do that, our Jacksonville Area Legal Aid website, you can apply for services right online now. So just go on, click name, address, income, assets. It'll kick you out if you're a millionaire. I mean, but and so that's why sometimes calling's better, because even as a millionaire, we might sit down with you because, who knows what's going on with you. And you may really want information you can trust. And the Florida Senior Legal Helpline, similar. 60 and over, we'll still answer that question. We'll still tell you what a reverse mortgage is. We'll still tell you if you're being scammed. We'll still tell you what happens if that door-to-door salesperson wouldn't leave your house and you want to get out of that deal. We'll still tell you what happens if you have a car that you bought that you can't afford, you got into a bad deal. I mean, you still, even with a lot of resources, might need some good legal assistance and information and help. Even if later then, you end up going to a private lawyer, you'll be informed. And it's really important that people 60 and over get the information they need and quickly.
And I think it's important to remind our listeners that you are a nonprofit.
Yes, absolutely. 501c3.
Right, which means you accept donations.
Oh, well, of course we do.
Yes, I mean, that's not why you do it, but...
it'd be really helpful. People
yes.
don't think of us. They don't think of us ever. I mean, they think of hospice. They think of the COA. Yeah, I've even had a lot of donations. People have told me, I donated to the COA because of you. And I'm like, well, that's very nice. I'm my own we're our own nonprofit. Yes.
Yeah.
Jacksonville Area Legal Aid, St. John's County Legal Aid. We're all right out there struggling, doing bake sales. The Canaan firm wrote the fundraiser for us every year. I mean, we are trying to Mike Freed does a Freed to Run and tries to raise money. It is, we are struggling to keep the doors open all the time. And the funding is being cut all the time. But it's important to have a nonprofit out there for information you can trust. So it's very important to support a legal aid office and all of these resources that are for low and reduced costs, even, at all levels. It's important.
All right. Well, that music means it's time for our show to end.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. It's always good to have you.
Happy 4th of July.
Have a great 4th of July, everybody. We'll see you next week.